Hello. Today we're covering share of wallet, a metric that reveals something about your competitive position that almost no other measurement can see. It answers a deceptively simple question. Of all the money your customers spend in your category, how much actually goes to you? By the end, you'll know how to measure it, how to segment it, and how to use it to make smarter decisions about where to invest in retention and growth. Let's start with the problem. Here's a situation that catches brands off guard. Sales are growing, satisfaction scores look solid, and the team feels like things are going well. But underneath that, a competitor is quietly becoming the brand's customers reach for first. They're not taking your customers, they're becoming more important to the same customers you both share. By the time that shift shows up on your in your market share numbers, it's already been happening for months. Share of wallet is how you see it early while there's still time to respond. Here's the distinction that makes share of wallet such a different and valuable lens. Market share tells you how many customers you have, what percentage of all buyers in the category bought your brand. Share of wallet tells you how much of each customer you have, what percentage of their total category spending goes to you. Those are different questions with different answers, and the second one is often far more actionable. A brand with 20% market share might have very shallow relationships with all of those customers. A brand with 15% market share but high average share of wallet has customers who genuinely prioritize it. Share of wallet is the percentage of a customer's total spending in a category that goes to your brand as opposed to competitors. The key word in that definition is central. It's not measuring whether customers buy from you, it's measuring how important you are relative to everything else they buy in the same category. A customer who buys oat milk from 4 different brands and spends 10% of their budget with Oatwave is a very different kind of customer from one who spends 70% with Oatwave, even if both technically count as Oatwave buyers. These two metrics measure different things, and it's worth being precise about how. Market share measures your brand's percentage of total category sales across all buyers. It's the aggregate view of how big you are in the market. Share of wallet measures your percentage of one individual customer's category spending. It's a relationship view of how important you are to each person. You can have high market share and low share of wallet. Many customers, none of them really prioritizing you. You can have lower market share but high average share of wallet. Fewer customers, but those customers are genuinely loyal. The strategic implications of those two situations are completely different. Let's bring this to life with Oatwave, a brand we know from previous videos. Oatwave has been growing its customer base steadily, and repeat purchase rates look healthy. But the team has noticed something. Average spending per customer isn't growing at the same pace as the customer count. That gap raises a question. Are customers buying Oatwave as their primary milk, or picking it up occasionally alongside several competitors? Share of wallet analysis will tell them exactly how much of each customer's plant-based milk spending they're actually capturing and how much is going elsewhere. The most accessible measurement approach is a short survey. 2 questions. First, in the last 30 days, approximately how much did you spend on plant-based milk in total? Second, of that total, roughly how much went to each brand? You take the amount a customer reports spending on Oatwave and divide it by their total category spending. That ratio is their share of wallet for Oatwave. It's simple, it doesn't require any competitive sales data, and it can be added to an existing customer survey without much additional burden. The limitation is that people's recall of spending is imperfect, which is why, where possible, you triangulate with behavioral data. For brands with richer data infrastructure, a loyalty program, subscription records, or retail partnerships that share basket data, you can calculate share of wallet directly from actual purchase history rather than self-reported estimates. You know exactly what a customer spent with you. If you also have access to their total category spending through a loyalty card or a retail data partnership, the calculation is precise. This approach is more accurate than surveys, but it requires a data infrastructure that many brands, especially smaller ones, don't yet have in place. Both approaches are valid. Use whichever your data supports, and ideally, use both together for the clearest picture. The formula is straightforward. Share of wallet equals customer spending on your brand divided by their total category spending multiplied by 100 to express it as a percentage. For Oatwave, a customer spends $50 a month on plant-based milk. Of that, $18 goes to Oatwave. So 18 divided by 50 times 100 equals 36%. Oatwave owns 36% of that customer's plant-based milk spending. You calculate this for every customer individually, then average across your customer base to get your overall share of wallet figure. That average is your benchmark, and watching it move over time is where the strategic insight lives. Once you know your current SOW, the next question is, what's the maximum you could theoretically capture? That's the potential share of wallet, 100%, if a customer bought only your brand in the category. For Oatwave, the current SOW of 36% means 64% of that customer's plant-based milk spending is going to competitors. That 64% is the growth opportunity. Now, in a repertoire category, a category where customers naturally and happily buy from multiple brands, capturing 100% isn't a realistic or even desirable target. In plant-based milk, customers buy different varieties for different occasions, and some variety seeking is normal. A more realistic target is 60 to 70%, which would represent a genuinely central brand relationship. Knowing the gap helps you set ambitions and are challenging but achievable. Here's where the share of wallet becomes strategically actionable. When you segment your customer base by SOW tier, high SOW customers, those spending 60% or more of their category budget with Oatwave, are your loyal primary buyers. Oatwave is their default. These customers are worth protecting and leveraging for referrals. Medium SOW customers, 30 to 60%, are interested and engaged but regularly buy competitors too. This is usually the biggest growth opportunity. Customers who already like you enough to buy you but haven't yet made you their first choice. And low SOW customers, below 30%, are occasional buyers or active switchers. Before investing heavily on them, you need to understand whether they're convertible or whether they're simply not your customer. Here's one of the most counterintuitive findings in share of wallet analysis. High satisfaction doesn't automatically mean high share of wallet. When you plot Oatwave customers by satisfaction score and share of wallet, a cluster appears in the top left quadrant. Customers who rate Oatwave highly but still spend more money with competitors. These are people who genuinely like the brand. They're not dissatisfied, but something is stopping them from making Oatwave their primary purchase. Maybe it's price. Oatwave is their preferred brand, but a competitor runs promotions that are hard to ignore. Maybe it's habit. They've bought another brand for years and Oatwave is a supplement rather than a replacement. Maybe it's availability. Their nearest store doesn't always carry Oatwave in stock. That gap between satisfaction and spending is where the real strategic work lives. There are 5 common reasons customers in a repertoire category spread their spending across multiple brands. Variety seeking. Some customers genuinely enjoy rotating between options and trying new things. Price sensitivity. They prefer Oatwave but switch when a competitor runs a meaningful promotion. Occasion-based buying. OatWave might be their choice for coffee drinks because of its texture, but a cheaper brand for smoothies or cooking where the nuance doesn't matter. Availability. They buy whatever is in stock at their retailer on that particular shopping trip. And habit. An old default brand they've never consciously reconsidered. Understanding which of these drives low SOW in your customer base is critical, because each one requires a different intervention. A price sensitivity problem and a habit problem have completely different solutions. Once you've segmented by SOW tier and understood why customers are splitting their spending, the strategy follows directly. For high SOW customers, your loyal primary buyers, the priority is protection and leverage. Loyalty programs, referral incentives, and early access to new products keep them close and convert their loyalty into acquisition through word of mouth. For medium SOW customers, your biggest growth opportunity, the goal is to shift more of their spending your way. Targeted promotions at the moments when they'd otherwise default to a competitor. Subscription models that make OatWave the automatic choice. Habit-building communications that position OatWave as a weekly staple rather than the occasional treat. For low SOW customers driven primarily by price, the question is whether a value tier or promotional pricing makes sense to capture more of their spending without undermining the brand's premium positioning. Like brand health tracking, share of wallet becomes significantly more powerful when measured repeatedly over time rather than as a one-off snapshot. Running the measurement quarterly and tracking the trend tells you things a single data point can't. Is average SOW growing, shrinking, or holding steady? Are medium SOW customers migrating upward toward loyal status or drifting downward toward occasional? Are competitors gaining disproportionately in specific customer segments or demographics? And critically, SOW trends often move before market share does. When a competitor starts gaining share of wallet with your customers, it shows up in SOW data months before it appears in your sales figures. That lead time is what makes SOW one of the most valuable early warning signals in the brand strategy toolkit. Let's be balanced. The strengths of share of wallet analysis are significant. It reveals competitive dynamics that pure market share data hides, showing you not just how many customers you have, but how deeply embedded you are in each one's purchasing behavior. It directly guides where to invest in retention and loyalty, not evenly across all customers, but proportionally to where the growth opportunity actually lives. The limitations are real too. Survey-based SOW relies on self-reported spending estimates, which people often don't track accurately. Behavioral SOW requires data partnerships or loyalty infrastructure that many brands haven't built yet. And in low involvement categories, where customers aren't paying much attention to what they buy, even getting a meaningful self-report can be difficult. The most powerful approach triangulates both survey and behavioral data wherever possible. 6 things to take with you. Share of wallet measures how much of each customer's category spending you own, not just whether they buy from you, but how central you are to their purchasing. Distinguish current from potential SOW to understand the size of the growth opportunity. Segment customers by SOW tier, high, medium, and low, because each tier needs a different strategy and a different investment level. High satisfaction doesn't guarantee high share of wallet. Understand the gap between the two, because that gap is where the competition is winning. Track SOW over time as a leading indicator of competitive momentum, because it moves before market share does. And remember that growing share of wallet from existing customers, getting your current buyers to prioritize you more, is always more profitable than the same investment in acquiring new ones. Thank you for watching.